Imagine waking up one morning. The sun is shining brightly, but something is terribly wrong. No one in your entire village has a shadow. Not even you. In a small, secluded village in Botswana called Ndlovu, life was simple and peaceful. Roosters crowed at dawn, children fetched water from the nearby stream, and the elders would gather under the giant marula tree, sharing stories of the old days. Life was predictable, comforting, but one morning, everything changed. As the sun climbed into the sky, people began to step out of their traditional huts, yawning and stretching. Then, one by one, they froze. A collective gasp swept through the village. Their shadows were gone, not a single one. Everywhere you looked, there was just bright, uninterrupted sunlight on the ground. Children, confused and scared, began to cry. Elders clutched their chests, whispering frantic prayers. Even the goats and chickens stood perfectly still, their animal instincts telling them something was fundamentally broken. Panic set in. At first, whispers of witchcraft spread like wildfire. Was it a curse from a rival village? Others believed it was a sign from the gods, a punishment for some unknown transgression. But the truth was far stranger than anyone could have imagined. A young boy named Ndlovu, whose curiosity always outweighed his fear, started to notice something others didn't. While everyone was staring at the empty ground where their shadow should be, Ndlovu's eyes darted around. He saw them. There were shadows in the village, but they weren't attached to anything. They were clinging to the walls of the huts, pooling at the base of the trees, even lying flat on the ground. And they weren't still. They were moving, drifting like dark patches of smoke on a slow breeze. Driven by an unexplainable urge, Ndlovu cautiously approached one of the larger, darker patches of shadow that was slithering across the dusty village square. He reached out a trembling hand and tried to touch it. The moment his fingertips made contact, the shadow recoiled, slipping away from his touch like water. It rose up, gathering itself into a vague, human-like shape that stood tall in front of him. It wasn't threatening. It just stood there, watching him with an unnerving stillness. As if on cue, the other rogue shadows began to move. From all corners of the village, they converged on the center, hundreds of them, all rising, and taking form until the square was filled with a silent crowd of dark, shifting figures. The villagers backed away in terror, huddling together. Then, a voice spoke. It didn't come from any single figure, but seemed to resonate through the air itself. A deep, ancient whisper. "We are what you lost." The villagers could only stare, their fear turning to stunned silence. The voice continued, a sorrowful undertone in its ethereal sound. "For generations, you have forgotten the old pact, the one your ancestors made with us. We were your guardians, your companions. We protected you from things that lurked in the twilight, and in return you honored us with stories and rituals." A cold, unnatural wind rushed through the village, kicking up dust and chilling everyone to the bone. "But your world has changed," the voice lamented. "You have forgotten the old ways, and now we must choose if we will walk with you again, or leave this world forever, taking your connection to the spirit realm with us." The crowd of shadows seemed to grow darker, more menacing, but Ndlovu, though his heart was hammering against his ribs, found his courage. He took a single, brave step forward. "What do we need to do?" he asked, his young voice clear and steady in the tense silence. Every single shadow figure turned its featureless head toward him. A single, collective whisper filled the air, a command that echoed in every villager's soul. "Remember us." And just like that, the shadows surged upward. They merged into a single, massive wave of black smoke that shot into the sky and then exploded, vanishing as quickly as it had appeared. For a moment, the sunlight felt unnaturally bright. Then, slowly, shadows began to reappear. Every person looked down to see their own familiar shadows stretching out at their feet, as if it had never left. A wave of relief washed over the village. But when Ndlovu looked down at his own shadow, he gasped. It was different. As they watched it, his shadow turned its head and looked back up at him. No one else saw it. Only his had remained sentient, alive, and in a quiet voice that only he could hear, it whispered, "Our journey begins tonight." What did the shadows mean, and what journey was Ndlovu about to embark on with his newly awakened companion? This was only the beginning. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, make sure to like and subscribe for more.